The space station looked like a giant metal wheel spinning slowly in the darkness. Ships from different worlds docked at its many arms. Inside, aliens from across the galaxy came to trade, talk, and make deals. The station's name was Havens, Rest, and it was one of the few places where enemies could meet without fighting. Deep inside the station, in a room with no windows, 5 very different beings sat around a metal table. The room was cold and dark. Only a single light hung above them, making long shadows on the walls. The first to speak was an elf. She had long silver hair and pointed ears. Her skin was pale like moonlight. She wore dark clothes that seemed to move like liquid shadow. Her name was Luna Starweaver, and she came from a world where giant trees touched the stars. "This human is dangerous," Luna said. Her voice was soft but serious. "Jake Morrison has taught too many humans how to fight. Our sacred forests are no longer safe." Across from her sat a creature that looked like a giant lizard walking on 2 legs. Her scales were deep red, and her yellow eyes never blinked. Sharp teeth showed when she spoke. This was Kira Vex from the Saurian Empire. "Humans think they own space," Kira said with anger. "They take our worlds and call them theirs. This Morrison trains them to fight like warriors. He must die." The third person at the table looked almost human, but her eyes were too bright and her movements too quick. Half of her face had metal parts that glowed blue. She was Maya Chenzora, born from 2 different species. In her hands, she held a weapon that could kill from very far away. "My calculations show Morrison is the key," Maya said in a voice that sounded like a computer. "Remove him, and human expansion slows by 60%. Logic says he must be eliminated." The fourth member was another elf, but she was very different from Luna. Her hair was white as snow, and her eyes sparked with magic power. She wore robes, covered in strange symbols that moved on their own. Zara Nightfall came from a world made of crystal mountains, where elves learned to use magic and technology together. "The human has some protection against magic," Zara said. "But everyone can be killed. I will make sure of this." The last person at the table was the strangest of all. She looked human, but something was wrong with her eyes. They moved too fast, seeing everything at once. Her name was Nova Sterling. She was born human but raised by insect-like aliens who shared one mind. "The collective agrees," Nova said, but her voice sounded like many people talking at once. "Morrison disrupts the order. He teaches chaos. He must be stopped." Above the table, a hologram appeared. It showed a man with brown hair and kind eyes. He was not very tall or very strong-looking. He seemed normal, almost boring. But all 5 killers knew this man was the most dangerous human alive. "Jake Morrison," said a voice from speakers in the walls. The voice belonged to someone they could not see, someone who had hired them all. Age 35, former soldier for Earth Defense Force. Now he lives on a small mining world called Copper Falls. The hologram changed to show a cold planet covered in snow and ice. Mountains rose up like broken teeth. Small buildings sat in valleys between the peaks. "Morrison trains human colonists," the voice continued. "He teaches them how to fight against raids. He shows them how to survive. Because of him, humans are spreading faster into our space." Luna leaned forward. "Why do our people work together on this? We have been enemies for hundreds of years." "Because," the voice said, "humans are different. They do not conquer like other species. They do not rule with fear like others. They make friends. They build trust. They unite others against us. This makes them more dangerous than any empire." Kira's claws scratched the metal table. "I have fought humans before. They are weak, soft, they break easily. That is what makes them dangerous," the voice replied. "They seem weak, but they survive. They seem kind, but they are clever. Morrison is the worst of them. He makes our enemies into his friends." The hologram showed pictures of Morrison with different aliens. In one picture, he helped an injured elf. In another, he shared food with Saurian children. There was even a picture of him working alongside insect creatures from the hive. "Your job is simple," the voice said. "Go to Copper Falls, find Morrison, kill him, make it look like an accident or a raid. When he is dead, human expansion will slow. Our peoples will be safe. Maya raised her metal hand. What about the other humans on the planet? Do what you must, the voice answered. But Morrison is the primary target. Without him, the others are not dangerous. Zara's magical symbols glowed brighter. When do we leave? Now, the voice said. A ship waits for you in Docking Bay 7. It has everything you need. Weapons, supplies, and information about the target. The 5 killers stood up from the table. They looked at each other with distrust. Elves did not like Saurians. Saurians did not trust humans, even half-humans like Maya. The Hive Collective kept to themselves. They were working together only because they had to. One more thing, the voice said as they walked toward the door. Morrison is not stupid. He will know you are coming. He has survived many attempts on his life. Do not think this will be easy. Luna stopped walking. If he is so dangerous, why have the attempts failed? The room was quiet for a long time. Then the voice spoke again, softer than before. Because he does not fight like other humans. He does not hate his enemies. He tries to understand them. He tries to help them. Some say this makes him weak. Others say it makes him impossible to kill. Kira laughed, showing all her sharp teeth. We will see about that. The 5 assassins left the dark room and walked through the bright corridors of Haven's Rest. Other aliens moved out of their way. Even without knowing who they were, everyone could sense the danger they carried. At Docking Bay 7, they found their ship. It was black and smooth, built for stealth and speed. Inside were 5 sleeping areas, a weapon storage room, and detailed maps of Copper Falls. As the ship left Haven's Rest and jumped into hyperspace, the 5 killers studied their target. They learned about the planet's weather, its people, and its defenses. They planned how to approach Morrison without being seen, but none of them knew that this mission would change their lives forever. None of them guessed that the human they came to kill would become someone they would die to protect. Tatar. Ship raced through space toward Copper Falls, carrying 5 assassins to their destiny. The black ship came out of hyperspace near Copper Falls. The planet looked cold and angry, covered in white snow and gray clouds. Ice covered the mountains like sharp knives pointing at the sky. Down in the valleys, small lights showed where people lived and worked. Luna stood at the ship's window, watching the planet grow larger. Her shadow-walking skills would work well in this cold place. The long nights would hide her movements. The weather will help us, she said to the others. Many shadows to hide in. Kira checked her weapons one more time. She had poison darts, curved knives, and claws sharp enough to cut through metal. The cold did not bother her reptilian skin. Weather means nothing, Kira said. Morrison will die no matter what the sky looks like. Maya was looking at her computer screens. Numbers and maps filled the displays. Her half-Centauri brain could process information much faster than normal humans. Scanning the planet now, Maya said. Population, 2,000 humans, 300 other species. Most live in the main mining complex in the Southern Valley. Zara held a crystal in her hands. The crystal glowed with soft blue light. Through her magic, she could feel the life forces on the planet below. So many different species living together. It was strange. I sense something unusual, Zara said. The life patterns are mixed. Humans and aliens living very close together. Nova sat with her eyes closed, but her mind reached out across space. Her hive training let her sense the thoughts and feelings of others, even from far away. There is peace here, Nova said, sounding confused. The minds below are not full of fear or anger. They work together. The ship landed in a hidden valley 20 miles from the mining complex. Snow fell heavily, covering their tracks as they left the ship. They split into 2 groups as planned. Luna and Zara headed north through the mountains. Their mission was to scout the area and find the best way to reach Morrison without being seen. Luna moved like a ghost through the snow, and Zara used her magic to warm the air around them. The other 3 went south toward the mining complex. Kira could track almost anything through snow and ice. Maya used her computer eyes to map the area. Nova reached out with her mind to sense the people ahead. As they got closer to the complex, they saw something that surprised them. The buildings were not just human-made. Some had the curved lines that elves liked. Others had the thick walls that saurians built for defense. There were even small domes that looked like hive structures. "This is not a human colony," Maya said, studying the buildings through her scope. "This is a mixed settlement." Through her scope, Maya could see into the windows of the buildings. Humans worked next to aliens. Children of different species played together in the snow. Old enemies shared meals and tools. "How is this possible?" Kira asked. Her warrior training said that different species should fight, not cooperate. Nova closed her eyes and sent her mind into the complex. What she felt made her step backward in shock. "They are happy," she said. "All of them. The humans, the elves, the saurians, everyone. They are happy." Meanwhile, Luna and Zara had found a high place in the mountains where they could watch the complex. Through the falling snow, they saw the same thing that surprised the others. "Look there," Luna pointed to a group of buildings. "Elven children are learning human mining techniques, and there, human children learn to climb like we do." Zara's magic let her see even further. In her crystal, she could watch the heat signatures of everyone in the complex. What she saw made no sense. "They share everything," Zara said. "Food, tools, knowledge, even their homes. I have never seen anything like this." Both groups had expected to find a military base where Morrison trained human soldiers. Instead, they found something that should not exist, a place where enemies had become friends. The assassins spent 3 days watching the complex. They learned the daily routines of the people. They found the guard schedules and the weak points in the defenses. But they still had not found Jake Morrison. On the 4th day, Maya finally spotted him. But he was not where they expected. "Target located," Maya said into her communicator. "But there is a problem." "What kind of problem?" Luna's voice came back through the static. Maya watched through her scope as Jake Morrison worked in the medical building. He was not training soldiers or planning attacks. He was taking care of sick and injured aliens. "He is in the hospital," Maya said, "treating alien patients. The others found positions where they could see the medical building. What they saw confused them all. Jake Morrison looked exactly like his pictures, but he moved differently than they expected. His hands were gentle as he checked on patients. His voice was soft when he spoke to frightened children. He treated every patient the same way, whether they were human or alien. Kira watched him bandage the wounds of a young saurian who had been hurt in a mining accident. Morrison worked carefully, making sure the child felt no pain. When the child's mother tried to thank him, Morrison just smiled and said helping others was his job. "He treats our people like his own family," Kira said, and her voice was strange. She had expected to find a monster, not someone who cared for saurian children. Luna saw Morrison sit up all night with an old elf who was very sick. The elf was from Luna's own clan, someone she knew from her childhood. Morrison did not sleep or eat. He just stayed with the old elf, giving him medicine and keeping him comfortable. "That is Elder Brightleaf," Luna whispered. "He taught me to fight when I was young. How did he get here?" Through her magic, Zara learned the answer. She saw the memories in the crystal. Elder Brightleaf had been on a transport ship carrying refugees when raiders attacked. Morrison had rescued the survivors and brought them to Copper Falls to heal. "He saves refugees," Zara told the others. "Raiders attack ships full of families trying to escape wars. Morrison and his people rescue them." Nova sent her mind deeper into the complex. She found memories in the thoughts of the people there. Stories of Morrison arriving just in time to save them from slavers. Tales of him sharing his food when theirs ran out. Memories of him standing between them and danger. "These people love him," Nova said. "Not because he is strong or because he gives them things. They love him because he keeps them safe." Maya calculated what she was seeing. Her computer brain tried to make sense of it. "Error in mission data," she said. "Target does not match profile." "Morrison is not a military trainer. He is a protector of refugees." The 5 assassins had spent days planning how to kill Jake Morrison. They had studied his weaknesses and prepared their weapons. But now they faced a problem none of them had expected. The man they came to kill was not evil. He was not their enemy. He was someone who saved lives instead of taking them. He was someone who built bridges instead of walls. That night, the 5 met in secret to talk about what they had learned. The mission data was wrong, Luna said. Morrison is not spreading human power. He is protecting the weak. Orders are orders, Kira replied, but she did not sound sure. We came here to kill him. That is what we must do. But why? Zara asked. He helps our people. He saves our children. Why should we kill someone like that? Maya ran calculations in her head. If we kill Morrison, who will protect these refugees? Logic says they will die without him. Nova was quiet for a long time. Then she spoke in her strange voice that sounded like many people talking. The collective teaches that the good of many is more important than the good of one. But Morrison serves the good of many. Killing him serves only the good of the few who want war. They talked through the night, but could not agree on what to do. Their orders were clear. Kill Jake Morrison. But their hearts were beginning to change. As the sun rose over the snowy mountains, they went back to watching the complex. Soon, they would have to make a choice that would change everything. The storm came without warning. The sky turned black as night, and snow fell so thick that no one could see more than a few feet ahead. The wind howled like angry spirits, and the temperature dropped so fast that metal became too cold to touch. Nova had been creeping toward Morrison's quarters when the blizzard hit. She had planned to use her mind powers to kill him while he slept. But the storm trapped her outside, and she had to find shelter fast or freeze to death. She stumbled through the snow until she saw light from a window. Without thinking, she knocked on the door. When it opened, she found herself face to face with Jake Morrison. He looked at her for a moment, taking in her strange appearance and the snow covering her clothes. Nova tensed, ready to fight or run, but Morrison just stepped aside and waved her in. Come on, get inside before you freeze, he said. This storm is going to be a bad one. Nova entered the warm building, confused. Morrison did not know who she was, but he was helping her anyway. She could have killed him right then, but something stopped her. You look half frozen, Morrison said, bringing her a thick blanket and a cup of hot soup. Are you one of the new refugees? Nova nodded, not trusting herself to speak. She sat by the fire and felt warmth return to her body. Around her, she saw families of different species sharing the space. Human children played with elf children. Saurian adults talked quietly with human adults. Everyone seemed relaxed and happy. Outside, the storm grew worse. The other assassins were also trapped by the weather. Luna found shelter in a mine shaft with a group of elf miners. They welcomed her as one of their own and shared their food with her. Kira was caught near the southern edge of the complex. A Saurian family found her and brought her into their home. They fed her and gave her warm clothes, never suspecting she had come to kill. Maya took shelter in a communications tower with 2 human technicians. They showed her how they kept contact with other settlements during storms, working to make sure everyone stayed safe. Zara ended up in the school building with an old elf teacher and several students of different species. The teacher was telling stories about the old days when their peoples were enemies and how Morrison had changed everything. The storm lasted for 3 days. During that time, the 5 assassins lived among the people they had planned to help destroy. They saw how the community worked together to survive the harsh weather. When the mine shaft where Luna was hiding started to collapse, she worked with the elf miners to shore up the walls. Her shadow dancing skills helped her move through tight spaces to place support beams. The miners praised her bravery and skill. In the Saurian home, Kira watched the family take care of their elderly grandmother. The old Saurian was sick and weak, but the whole family worked together to make her comfortable. When Kira offered to help, they accepted her as part of the family. Maya found herself fascinated by the human technicians' dedication. They worked day and night to keep the communications working, making sure no one was lost in the storm. Their simple human technology was not as advanced as Zentari systems, but it worked well because they maintained it with care. Zara listened to the teachers' stories and watched the students. The children asked many questions about the old wars, trying to understand why their peoples had fought. The teacher was honest about the mistakes of the past, but focused on building a better future. On the second night of the storm, Nova made a terrible mistake. She tried to use her psionic powers to read Morrison's mind while he slept. But instead of just reading his thoughts, her powers connected them directly. She found herself experiencing Morrison's memories as if they were her own. She saw his childhood on Earth, his training as a soldier, and his first encounters with alien species. She felt his pain when raiders killed his family and his anger at the injustice of war. But she also felt something else, his choice to help instead of hate. After losing everything, Morrison could have become a killer seeking revenge. Instead, he chose to protect others from experiencing the same loss. Nova saw memories of Morrison rescuing refugees from burning ships. She felt his exhaustion after working for days without sleep to save lives. She experienced his joy when former enemies learned to trust each other. The connection was too strong. Nova could not break it off. For hours, she lived through Morrison's experiences, feeling every emotion as if it were her own. When she finally pulled her mind away, she was crying. Morrison woke up and found her sitting by his bed, tears streaming down her face. "Bad dreams?" he asked kindly. "This storm brings out the worst in everyone's sleep." Nova stared at him. This man had every reason to hate aliens, but he had chosen to save them instead. She realized she could never kill someone like that. "I'm sorry," she whispered, though Morrison did not understand what she was apologizing for. On the third day, disaster struck. The weight of snow caused part of the main mine to collapse. Dozens of people were trapped underground, including children. The entrance was blocked by tons of rock and ice. Morrison immediately organized rescue efforts. He did not care about the storm or the danger. People were trapped, and he would not give up on them. The 5 assassins found themselves working alongside Morrison without planning to. Luna used her shadow skills to squeeze through small gaps in the rubble. Kira's strength helped move heavy rocks. Maya's enhanced vision let her see heat signatures of the trapped people. Zara used her magic to reinforce weak areas of the tunnel. Nova connected minds so the rescue teams could coordinate perfectly. Morrison worked harder than anyone. He crawled through dangerous spaces to reach trapped miners. He carried out injured people on his back. When a child was too scared to move, Morrison stayed with her until she felt safe enough to follow him. "Why does he risk his life for people who are not even his species?" Kira asked Luna as they worked to clear a blocked passage. "Because that is who he is," Luna replied. "He sees people, not species. He sees children who need help, not aliens, to fear." After 18 hours of digging, they reached the last group of trapped miners. Among them was an elf child who had been hurt when the tunnel collapsed. Morrison carefully carried the child to safety, ignoring his own cuts and bruises. The storm finally ended and the sun came out. The community gathered to thank everyone who had helped with the rescue. Morrison stood before them, tired and dirty, but smiling. "We are all in this together," he said. "Human, elf, saurian, or any other species. When one of us is in danger, we all help. That is what makes us strong." The crowd cheered, and the 5 assassins found themselves cheering too. They had come to kill this man, but now they could not imagine the community without him. That night, they met in secret again. But this time, their conversation was very different. "I cannot do it," Nova said. "I have been inside his mind. He is everything our peoples should try to become." "The child he saved today reminded me of my own daughter," Kira said. "How can I kill someone who protects children?" "These people trust us now," Luna said. "They think we are refugees like them. How can we betray that trust?" "My calculations show that Morrison alive serves the greater good better than Morrison dead," Maya said. "Killing him would be illogical." Zara looked at her crystal, which glowed with warm light. "My magic shows me his heart. There is no evil there, only love for all living things." But their orders were still clear. Their peoples expected them to complete their mission. If they failed, they would be hunted as traitors. As they talked, none of them noticed that Morrison was nearby, listening, in the shadows. He had suspected who they were for days, but he had hoped that getting to know the community would change their minds. Now he had to decide what to do about 5 assassins who no longer wanted to kill him. The morning after the rescue brought terrible news. Maya's communications equipment picked up a signal from deep space. A Saurian battle fleet was approaching Copper Falls. The ships would arrive in 2 days. Maya stared at the readings on her screen. Her enhanced brain calculated the fleet's size and weapons. What she saw made her blood turn cold. 15 battle cruisers, she told the others. Heavy weapons, drop ships. Enough soldiers to destroy this entire colony. The 5 assassins met in the old mine shaft where they had been hiding. Each of them looked worried and scared. "This is not part of the original plan," Luna said. "We were supposed to kill Morrison quietly. Why are they sending a fleet?" Nova reached out with her mind, trying to contact the Hive Collective. What she learned made her sick to her stomach. "They are testing us," she said. "Our masters want to see if we will complete our mission even after living here. The fleet will attack whether Morrison is dead or not." Kira's claws scratched deep grooves in the rock wall. Her Saurian honor was being questioned, and it made her angry. "They think we are weak," she growled. "They think living with these people has made us soft." "Maybe it has," Zara said quietly. "Maybe caring about others is not weakness. Maybe it is strength." Maya ran more calculations. The colony has no real defenses. A few mining lasers, some hunting rifles, and basic shields around the main buildings. Against a battle fleet, they will last maybe an hour. The 5 sat in silence, thinking about all the people they had come to know. The elf children who had shared their toys. The Saurian grandmother who had told them stories. The human technicians who had taught them about their simple but effective technology. "We have to warn Morrison," Luna said finally. "If we warn him, we are traitors to our peoples," Kira replied. "They will hunt us for the rest of our lives." "If we do not warn him, innocent people will die," Nova said. "Children will die. Is that what we want?" Before anyone could answer, they heard footsteps outside the mine shaft. They grabbed their weapons, ready to fight. But the person who entered was Jake Morrison, alone and unarmed. "I know who you are," he said calmly. "I have known since the first day." The 5 assassins tensed, ready for battle. But Morrison held up his hands to show he meant no harm. "Luna Starweaver, shadow dancer of the moonlit confederacy," he said, looking at each of them in turn. "Kira Vex, honor warrior of the Crimson Scale Empire. Maya Chenzora, hybrid sniper of the Zentauri Collective. Zara Nightfall, battle mage of the Crystal Spires. Nova Sterling, psionic agent of the Hive." "How long have you known?" Maya asked, her hand still on her weapon. "Since you arrived," Morrison replied. "Luna, your shadow-walking technique is taught only to elite assassins. Kira, you have the scars of ritual combat on your claws. Maya, your cybernetic implants are military grade. Zara, your magic crystals are too pure for a civilian. And Nova, your psionic signature is impossible to hide from someone who knows what to look for." Nova was shocked. "You can sense psionic energy?" "I have dealt with your people before," Morrison said. "The Hive taught me some of their techniques when I helped rescue their young from slavers." Kira stepped forward, her muscles tense. "If you knew we were here to kill you, why did you not have us captured or killed?" Morrison smiled sadly. "Because I hoped that spending time here would show you who we really are. I hoped you would see that humans are not your enemies." "And if we had killed you anyway?" Zara asked. "Then I would have died knowing I tried to build bridges instead of walls," Morrison replied. "That is better than living with hate in my heart." Luna felt something break inside her chest. This human had known they were assassins, but he had still saved Nova from the storm. He had still worked beside them to rescue trapped miners. He had still treated them like friends. "The fleet is coming," she said quietly. "They will attack in 2 days, whether you are alive or dead." Morrison nodded. "I know. Maya is not as good at hiding her communications as she thinks." Maya looked embarrassed. "You have been monitoring my equipment?" "I monitor all communications on this planet," Morrison said. "It is how I know when refugee ships need help or when raiders are planning attacks." "So what do we do now?" Nova asked. "The fleet will kill everyone here unless we stop them." Morrison sat down on a rock, looking tired. "I will not ask you to betray your peoples for me. You have families and honor to think about. But I will not abandon the people here. They trust me to protect them." "You cannot fight a battle fleet with mining equipment," Kira said. "I know. Morrison replied, "but I have to try." The 5 assassins looked at each other. They all faced the same terrible choice. Follow their orders and let innocent people die, or protect the community that had become their home. Luna was the first to decide. She knelt down in front of Morrison and placed her weapon at his feet. It was an ancient elf tradition that meant giving loyalty to someone worthy of respect. "I, Luna Starweaver, offer my blade in service to Jake Morrison," she said formally, "until death or honor releases me." Morrison looked shocked. "Luna, you do not have to do this. Your people will call. You a traitor?" "My people taught me to protect the innocent," Luna replied. "You protect the innocent better than anyone I have ever known." Kira watched Luna's ceremony with growing emotion. In Saurian culture, honor was the most important thing, and Morrison had more honor than any warrior she had ever met. She stepped forward and performed her own ritual. Taking a sharp claw, she cut her palm and then cut Morrison's palm. She pressed their bleeding hands together, mixing their blood. "By blood and battle, I name you brother," she said in the ancient Saurian way. "Your enemies are my enemies. Your family is my family. I will fight beside you until death takes me." Morrison winced as the claw cut his hand, but he did not pull away. "Kira, your empire will exile you for this." "Let them try," Kira said fiercely. "I have found something worth more than an empire. I have found honor." Maya calculated the odds of survival if she stayed. They were very low, but she also calculated the odds of living with herself if she left innocent people to die. Those odds were 0. "Logic indicates that serving the greater good is more important than serving the Centauri Collective," she said, placing her sniper rifle next to Luna's blade. "I choose to serve the greater good." Zara held her crystal up to the light. Inside it, she could see the life forces of everyone in the colony. They glowed with warmth and love and hope. She could not let that light go out. "My magic shows me that some things are more important than following orders," she said, adding her crystal staff to the growing pile of weapons. "Protecting life is more important than anything else." All eyes turned to Nova. She was the last, one who had not decided. The Hive Collective had raised her to follow orders without question, but they had also taught her that the good of many was more important than the good of the few. Nova closed her eyes and reached out with her mind one last time. She touched the thoughts of every person in the colony, humans who dreamed of building a better world, elves who hoped their children would know peace, Saurians who wanted to prove that honor meant more than conquest, refugees who had finally found a home. "The collective taught me that individual desires must serve the greater good," she said, opening her eyes. "But they were wrong about what the greater good means." She placed her hand on Morrison's forehead, sharing her psionic energy with him. It was the highest honor the Hive could give, and it meant she would never be welcome among them again. "I link my mind to yours," she said formally. "Your thoughts guide my actions. Your goals become my goals. I serve the true greater good." Morrison looked at the 5 women who had come to kill him and were now willing to die for him. He felt the weight of their sacrifice and the trust they had placed in him. "Are you sure about this?" he asked. "There is no going back. Your peoples will hate you. You will be hunted wherever you go." "We are sure," Luna said, speaking for all of them. "We came here as assassins. We choose to stay as protectors." Morrison nodded slowly. "Then we have a battle fleet to stop, and we have less than 2 days to figure out how to do it." As the 5 former assassins began planning their defense of Copper Falls, none of them noticed the small recording device hidden in the mineshaft. Their conversation had been transmitted to the approaching fleet, and the commander was very interested in what he had heard. The battle for Copper Falls would test more than their weapons and tactics. It would test whether trust and cooperation could defeat fear and hatred. The Saurian fleet came out of hyperspace like angry metal stars. 15 massive ships hung in the sky above Copper Falls, their weapons pointed down at the small colony. Each ship was big enough to destroy a city, and together they could turn the entire planet into burning rock. On the ground, Jake Morrison stood with his 5 former assassins on the highest tower in the complex. Around them, the colony prepared for battle in ways no one had ever seen before. Luna had taught human defenders how to move like shadows. They disappeared into the snow and rocks, becoming invisible until they were ready to strike. Elf refugees worked alongside them, using their natural grace to move without making sound. Kira had shown everyone Saurian battle formations. Humans, elves, and other species formed groups that protected each other's weaknesses. The old Saurian, grandmother who had been sick during the storm, now commanded a squad of mixed defenders, her experience making up for her age. Maya had connected all the colony's communication systems. Her hybrid technology let different species coordinate their actions perfectly. Every defender knew where their allies were and what they were doing. Zara had used her magic to strengthen the colony's shields. But more than that, she had taught willing humans how to use simple magical techniques. The barrier around the colony now glowed with combined elf magic and human determination. Nova had done something no one thought possible. She had created a temporary hive mind that connected volunteers from every species. For the first time in galactic history, different alien minds were working as one perfect unit. The fleet's commander, General Bloodclaw, sent a message to the colony. His huge reptilian face appeared on screens throughout the complex. "Humans of Copper Falls," he said in a voice like grinding stone, "you have harbored traitors and defied the will of the galactic powers. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick." Morrison stepped forward to answer, but before he could speak, Luna appeared beside him. "General Bloodclaw," she said, "I am Luna Starweaver of the Moonlit Confederacy. I claim the right to speak for these people." The general's eyes widened in surprise. "Shadow Dancer Luna, you were sent to kill the human, not protect him." "I was sent to kill a monster," Luna replied calmly. "Instead, I found a hero. Jake Morrison protects refugee children, including children from your own empire." Kira stepped into view of the camera. "General, I am Kira Vex, honor warrior of the Crimson Scale. I invoke the right of blood bond." "Morrison is my battle brother. To kill him, you must first kill me," General Bloodclaw roared with anger. "You dare invoke the old ways to protect a human?" "I dare invoke honor to protect honor," Kira replied. "Something our people seem to have forgotten." Maya, Zara, and Nova also appeared on the screen, each declaring their loyalty to Morrison and the colony. The general listened with growing rage. "You are all traitors," he snarled. "The fleet will destroy you and everyone you protect. Then you will be destroying your own people," Morrison said, finally speaking. "General, scan the colony. Look at who lives here." The general ordered his ships to scan the surface. What they found made him pause. The colony held refugees from every major species in the galaxy, including hundreds of Saurians, elves, and others who had fled from wars and disasters. "You use non-combatants as shields," the general accused. "I protect non-combatants as family," Morrison replied. "These are not my prisoners or my weapons. They are my friends." An older voice spoke from off-camera on the fleet's communication. "General, may I speak?" The general stepped aside, and an ancient Saurian appeared on the screen. She was very old, with scars from many battles, but her eyes were sharp and intelligent. "I am Elder Ironscale," she said. "I have lived through 40 years of war between our peoples. I speak with the authority of the High Council." Morrison bowed respectfully. "Elder, I am honored by your presence." Human Jake Morrison, Elder Ironscale, said, "You are accused of training fighters to resist our expansion. How do you answer?" "I train people to defend themselves against raiders and slavers," Morrison replied. "I have never attacked Saurian territory or harmed Saurian civilians. In fact, I have saved many Saurian lives." The elder's eyes narrowed. "Prove this claim." Morrison gestured, and several Saurian families came into view of the camera. Among them was the grandmother who had cared for Kira during the storm, and the child Morrison had saved from the mine collapse. The old grandmother stepped forward. "Elder Ironscale, this human saved my grandson's life. When the mine collapsed, he risked everything to reach trapped children. He carried my grandson to safety with his own hands." The injured child, now healthy and strong, spoke next. "Elder, the human Morrison taught me to read. He gave me medicine when I was sick. He is good person." Elder Ironscale listened to story after story. Saurians told how Morrison had rescued them from slavers, how he had shared food during hard times, how he had protected them from raiders who cared nothing about honor. "This is unexpected," the elder said slowly. "Our information suggested you were building an army to attack us." "I am building something," Morrison said, "but not an army. I am building a community where different peoples can live together in peace, where Saurian honor and human determination and elf wisdom can all make each other stronger." The elder was quiet for a long time. Then she spoke to General Bloodclaw. "General, I am ordering you to hold your attack. I will come down to the surface to see this community myself." "Elder, that is not safe," the general protested. "This could be a trap." "If Jake Morrison wanted to harm Saurians, he has had many chances," the elder replied. "I will take that risk." An hour later, Elder Ironscale's shuttle landed in the colony's main square. She came with only a small guard, showing her trust. Morrison met her personally, with the 5 former assassins at his side. The elder walked through the colony for hours, talking to everyone she met. She saw Saurian children playing games taught to them by human friends. She watched elf healers, working alongside human doctors. She observed the mixed squads training together, learning each other's techniques. "This should not be possible," she said to Morrison as they walked. "Our species have been enemies for generations. How did you make them into friends?" "I did not make them into anything," Morrison replied. "I just gave them a chance to know each other. People are people, no matter what they look like. When you treat someone with respect and kindness, they usually return it." That evening, Elder Ironscale called a meeting of all the fleet commanders. The conversation was broadcast to the entire colony. "What I have seen here changes everything," she announced. "This human has not built a military threat. He has built something we thought was impossible, a place where our species cooperate instead of compete." General Bloodclaw was not convinced. "Elder, pretty words do not change the facts. Humans are expanding into our space. They must be stopped." "Then, let us expand into their space as well," the elder replied. "But as partners, not conquerors. Let us learn from what has been built here." The other fleet commanders began to discuss what they had seen. The elf representatives spoke of refugee families who had found safety. The Centauri delegates calculated the benefits of cooperation. Even the Hive Collective saw advantages in peaceful expansion. But not everyone agreed. Some commanders still wanted to destroy the colony as an example to others. The debate went on for hours. Finally, Luna spoke up. "Honorable leaders, you came here to judge whether humans are a threat to galactic peace. You have your answer. But now you must decide whether you want to be part of the threat or part of the peace." "The Shadow Dancer speaks wisdom," Elder Ironscale said. "We can destroy this place and continue fighting for generations, or we can learn from it and build something better." The vote was close, but peace won. The fleet would not attack. Instead, they would establish a permanent embassy on Copper Falls, making it the first multi-species colony officially recognized by all the major powers. General Bloodclaw was angry, but could not argue with the elder's decision. As his ships prepared to leave, he sent one final message to Morrison. "You have won this day, human, but do not think this ends anything. There are others who will not be as easily convinced as we were." Morrison nodded. "I know, General, but every person who chooses cooperation over conflict makes the next choice easier. Eventually, peace will be stronger than war." As the fleet departed, the people of Copper Falls celebrated. They had not only survived, but had struck a blow for understanding between species. Morrison stood with his 5 companions, watching the ships disappear into hyperspace. "So what happens now?" Maya asked. "We are still considered traitors by our peoples. Now we prove that there is a better way," Morrison replied. "We show the galaxy that different species can work together. We build more colonies like this one. We turn enemies into friends, one person at a time." Luna smiled. "It will not be easy." "Nothing worthwhile ever is," Morrison said. "But we do not have to do it alone. We have each other, and we have everyone here who believes in what we are building." Kira placed her clawed hand on Morrison's shoulder. "My brother, wherever this path leads, we will walk it together." The others nodded in agreement. They had come to Copper Falls as assassins. They were leaving as builders of a new future. Years later,